So thank you for joining us again on our live video events. I'm Christine Gevert. I'm Crescendo's founding artistic director. I'm also Crescendo's acting executive director, so I oversee most of the day-to-day affairs of the organization. So Crescendo is based right here where I stand in Lakeville, Connecticut. And the church that you see in the background is our home base. We're having such a different season. You might have heard me talk about this in our previous video. And I wanted to tell you, though, a little bit more about the background of who we are at Crescendo, why we're doing these programs, what the context is, how we've come to be an organization that we are now 16 years later. And to do that, I've invited two dear friends, singers and board members, Kathy Drake from Millerton, New York, and Tom Schindler from Lakeville, Connecticut.
I'm Kathy Drake. I'm a singer with Crescendo for 15 years now, and I've been on the board for many years. And I help Christine with publicity and marketing with Crescendo.
I'm Tom Schindler, and I also started singing with Crescendo from the beginning in 2004. I think I was the first man in the group. And then about 5 years ago, I joined the board of directors, and now I am the secretary.
There's like an elephant in the room. And actually, there's two things. There's a chipmunk that has been running back and forth between Tom, who's in the other room, and me. So that's one elephant that you're not seeing. But the other elephant is the Polyphemo mask. And Tom, do you want to quickly say who your best friend is there? People want to know.
Well, this is, as Christine said, this is Polyphemo, and last December we performed the lesser known version of the opera Athis y Galatea, I think.
By Antonio de Literes.
And it was a staged performance, but we got to do some costumes, and so my wife and I made this incredible mask of the cycle.
Monster.
When I put it on, I'm not going to put it on my head, but when I put it on my head, the big mouth, my chin looked like the tongue of the mouth. And it was just way too much fun. I got to play this part, a dream part where I got to exaggerate more and more and more and sing in the lowest register very dramatically. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly. There you were scaring poor Athis to death. No, poor Galatea. She was just kind of sinking into the ground. And anyway, so Tom, this is exactly what I had actually dreamt the Crescendo was going to be about. Not scaring people to death, but actually making people.
No, it was. People loved it, though.
I know.
They did.
I did too. So I love it. You loved it, Kathy too. And see, that is the combination of things. We're trying to do something high level, historically informed, period instruments. We are discovering rarely performed repertoire, mostly Baroque, and so forth. But at the same time, we just really, really, really want to own this and enjoy it. And so when I founded Crescendo, actually in 2003, I had no idea that in 2019 we were going to perform our first semi-staged Baroque opera. That one I didn't know, but I knew that there were people like you, Tom, who were here on parishioners at Trinity Church and who so enjoyed what I was bringing in from my upbringing in South America and my life and studies in Germany and in Europe. And that translated into the wealth of music that there is. And yes, also my fortunate I was so fortunate to have the skills as a music transcriber and a person who can decipher manuscripts, so that open up a whole repertoire that many other groups don't get to perform because there are no performing editions. So when I founded Crescendo, that was definitely on my mind, to bring to our audiences a bunch of works that you otherwise won't get to see and hear.
And I think that's a unique thing of Crescendo, this unique blend of modern or Chilean or European Baroque, Renaissance, by combining all those and finding intersections and parallels in the music and in the history and the art and the culture, makes it for a very rich mix. And I think more and more people in the audience can respond.
One of the things that I really, for the first time in all the choral singing I'd done, I really felt stretched. I felt that there was a lot that I learned, that the rehearsals were wonderful, the vocal training was wonderful, and it was just the wide-ranging repertoire, and the fact that we sang in Chinese one time, and I mean, all of this stuff was really what was special. So yeah.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. I must say that was not on my mind to stretch people.
I mean,
but
you know what I mean.
Among the singers, at the beginning of each project, there'll be this conversation after rehearsal or before rehearsal, and we'll say to each other, I can't believe she thinks we're going to be able to do this.
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's the same conversation for each project. So
we always do. In the end, we do, but you're absolutely right.
We suspend unbelief, and we trust that it's all going to come together. And it usually does, by that last week.
I know. Am I ever going to get those Bach runs?
Oh, man.
The Bach runs, the notorious. Yeah, you're going to have some this year too.
I know.
Actually, the first real wall I ran into was about 2 or 3 years into Crescendo, when I wanted to put into practice our first cutting-edge multimedia project, something that happened in my mind since I encountered that in Europe, which was the Dance of Death, a panoramic mural in a church of Lübeck portraying the Dance of Death with 36 secular and sacred characters. And Hugo Distler, German composer, composed motets in obviously early 20th century style. During the time he was drafted to fight for Nazi Germany, and he refused 3 times, and then he committed suicide under the pressure. At the same time, or very close to that, incendiary bomb destroyed the Lübeck church, and therefore also the panoramic mural. So all that was left were black and white photographs. And our local digital artists and graphic artists, from using some lithographs, colored this, and we performed this with an animated projection. This was our first multimedia. Do you remember?
Yes.
You both were part of it.
Yep. And we had dancers from Simon Bach.
Right.
My daughter was one of the dancers. And then you included, you got people from the community to read some of the reading parts. And that was a wonderful aspect of it, because it became more of a community celebration. The audience, the singers, everybody, it becomes an expression of the community.
In Chile, the choral movement is very strong. And in Chile, choirs almost always involve these very dedicated amateurs in conjunction with professional singers. The community chorus aspect is nothing less than a professional chorus, and that the music, to become into its full potential, needs both the very professional, and I believe from the very beginning in hiring specialists, spirit instruments, or when we do Latin American music, we have our Latin American performers from Latin America. When we did the Polish concert, I hired a Polish soloist, trying to really recreate as closely as possible the real dimension of the music. Excellence And amateur, I use the word amateur, and I know some of you have said, amateur is not such a great word because it doesn't get used so much in a good sense in the United States. I'm not sure if that's so, but amateur music making at its best is what I feel that you all do at Crescendo, and I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah. Well, the word amateur means love, so it's a lover, and this love for what we're doing. In some ways, the non-professional can just go for it, because we're not worrying about making a living or some of those other constraints. And I think that so you can almost get a higher level of enthusiasm and passion if you're a true amateur.
I remember that we had a story in Main Street, and Tom, you were quoted in it, and they let me look at the story and maybe do some changes. And so I put in a quote from a, quote, long-time crescendo singer, me, in other words. And it had to do with that. I said, the magic of crescendo is the trust the singers in the audience have that they will have a wonderful experience with the music Christine chooses. It's not always easy. Christine challenges us, the singers, to master the music and works with each one of us to be the best that we can be. There's a great reward in that for us and for our audiences. Yeah. So that's kind of
very quote.
Yeah, and that's how I feel. I mean, that's one thing. I never learned music like I learn music now. I never have the feeling that I understand when I'm singing, and it's a whole different world. I feel like I can sit down and learn music on my own now. I always depended on rehearsals to over and over and over again. Finally, I'd learn it. But now I read music, but everything. I mean, it's a whole different world for me now.
So. My biggest wish is that you all become independent musicians. And that's why I explain, and that's why I challenge you so much. I remember in the beginning when I started, I saw that people weren't so good at reading music, didn't know about harmony and rhythm. And so I offered for years these workshops, remember, half hours or different groups, tonica, do, re, mi, fa, sol, with the hand signs, Baroque tunings, and so forth. And I remember many of you kept training and training even beyond the rehearsal time.
Your instrument as a singer is yourself.
That's right.
So it's so much more intimate. I'm sure it's intimate with a keyboard or a horn or something, but it's even more with a singer.
It is more. Yeah.
It's so gratifying.
And I think our audiences, I think that's what they pick up on, because it's true. We're not a professional group. So you can hear performances, of course, that are at a level of perfection in a way, and precision perhaps, that are superior to Crescendo, no doubt. But what has blown me away over the years is, and this seems like a cliche and patting myself and ourselves on the shoulder, but I hear it pretty much every concert. This is the best concert ever.
Yeah, I know.
Some people have gone so far, and people mostly in our audiences, our dear audience members, are from New York City or sometimes Boston. They say this is the best concert that I've ever heard. These expressions really go to the experience that people have, and the experience that you as singers, each and every single singer with their full ability on stage, and instrumentalists as well, of course, what you bring. Audience members contact me and tell me very personal things. And somebody I had absolutely never seen before, when we did a concert with music of Mendelssohn some years ago at the Catholic Church in Lakeville. It's a lovely concert with a vocal ensemble. He wrote me a note, and I was so moved. I think I shared it. And he said, you know what? I was at this concert, and it might sound like a cliche, but it was really giving my spirit wings. We sang For the Wings of the Dove by Mendelssohn, the soprano solo, of course. And he said, my mother had passed away 2 months earlier, and this was the first time that I felt her spirit was soaring and that I felt at peace with her death. And I get a communication like that, and I know it's really an impersonal phenomenon. It's not me personally drawing this out of a person, but those things over these 16 years now have kept coming. People explaining that they've had a spiritual experience. I'm grateful because sacred music that's what it is. It's sacred. It's not religious or churchy. It's not really any denomination or even any religious. In Bach, for instance, I think we're going to talk about this with Alejandro, the spiritual and the secular. Where does this spiritual depth come from? The sacred music we perform, so many of our singers are not Christian or not engaged in the church, atheists or Jewish or Buddhist or something else. We're not an incredibly diverse area, but we have diverse backgrounds in our singers. And yet everybody, I think, vibrates with the essence of this music. And I think that is the power of live music, the power of music that's been earnestly rehearsed with all of the effort and put on, and you and the board have put your heart and your hard work behind making this all happen. And that's what Crescendo is.
Well, I think we all need this live, the experience of live performance. It reaches down into our backgrounds. It's like play. We need more play, playing on stage, make-believe. We need more make-believe in our lives. And when we really get into that, we discover things about ourselves that otherwise we're not in touch with. And we don't have enough of this nowadays. It's so easy to listen to music on a CD or on your computer or whatever. And I think that's an aspect of why people come up to us again and again after the concert. This was the best one, because they're still feeling this high, this emotional high from
the reality
in this live, you know, transfer of energy between the musicians and the audience and all of our expressions and emotions. It's just such a wonderful aesthetic experience. The Norman Rockwell project was a unique exploration and expression of these different secular, but very American, shared across
the four freedoms
sections of our country. And we engaged a different cross section of people who really responded to that program. That was a unique experience for all of us.
The other unique experience for me, anyway, was and to some extent groundbreaking, was the Chinese concert. I thought that was incredible. And I remember that the board was quite worried that no one would either come in, or once they came in, they would get up and go out once they heard everybody singing in Mandarin. But we found out that afterwards that the audience, we found out with, great ovation, but also they loved it. And they thought and I think a number of them said that they trusted the fact that that music that you chose, Christine, that we sang, was going to be fine and going to be really fun to hear. So, and the other thing we got from that was the award, the Chorus America, Alice Parker, for adventurous programming.
It sure was adventurous. First time we sing microtones, at least intentionally.
That's right. Oh God, I forgot about that.
Yes. And the Chinese vowels and all of that. Oh, that was challenging. Yeah, that now I can see the stretch part, Kathy.
Yeah, see? Right.
And then we've had these wonderful guests, sometimes on an absolute friendship basis. And this is how I also grew up in Chile. It was professionally done, and then at times there were just friends who came and wanted to collaborate. And we had this fantastic quena player from Peru, Marcelo Peña, some years ago, who improvised for us.
Oh, yeah.
And this year, a colleague of mine, a fabulous baritone who sings professionally in Berlin, and he stayed in Berlin, and where we both studied, and he's a bit younger than I, he's done a career as an oratorio singer. So he said, I sing the bass part for the Christmas oratorio for you for free. This is a crazy year, I'll do it.
Wow.
So
Oh, really?
we're so fortunate.
Oh,
These
boy.
friends want to collaborate with us, and yeah, I feel very fortunate. So we've had an array of paid and also unpaid, and most of them become friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had yesterday I had a call from a musician that I collaborated with once, a soloist, and he just wanted to wish us a happy anniversary.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Wow.
That was all. It was nothing musical. So those things are incredible too.
Yeah.
Nice. Aw.
I feel so grateful. I feel everything that I am has been because of generous people, real big souls in my life who have taught me. I'm enormously grateful to my teachers. And one of them, actually, I don't know if even you know, Alejandro Reyes Van Eyck, who is a wonderful conductor and Bach scholar in Santiago, Chile. Now, because of this pandemic situation and us doing this online, will come with me on a conversation about Bach's Christmas oratorio. So I'm able to show you who my teacher is and in his way of thinking about Bach and about music. So from the very beginning, I thought we need to teach, we need to give. And of course, teaching the chorus members and our soloists and instrumentalists is an aspect. But the program notes, why do we do such big and long program notes? Because we want the audiences to learn and have this multidimensional, also the intellectual aspect behind the music is very important. It's a big part of the music. And also, from the very beginning, I thought, look, the young generation needs us. And we need to mix up our generations. We older musicians can give a lot to the kids. And in fact, when we've been able to go to the schools and done a few, I remember the one here in our local high school. After years, finally, we got to go and do a program with both Latin American music and also the wonderful Norwegian contemporary composer Ola Gjello.
Oh, that's right. We did that.
Which we performed too, and they were learning too.
Yeah.
So the best compliment for how this is working well was one of the teachers said then, you know what, it's amazing, our chaperones and the teachers that were present, there were practically no young people on their cell phones because it was a general assembly of, I don't know, 300 or 400 kids listening to this, and normally they're walking around and taking away cell phones. And that told me something that, wow, this really landed with them. Even in these difficult times, we will keep the kids included in our programming and our offerings because it's so important. When I think about a new program, I feel totally empty-handed. I'm actually, anytime I choose a new program, I'm absolutely scared to the bottom of my being and to my bones, because I'm always feeling this challenge. How can I bring to you something that you will really enjoy, something that will challenge you, something that will make sense to you? And it's always such a process because you have become an entity as singers and as a group, in connection with our audience and our professional musicians. And I feel almost like at this point, having founded this group so many years ago, that the group has its own dynamic that's asking something from me. And it's quite humbling and also exhilarating because I can really feel that pull. And so I've probably our audience and chorus members have been wondering why it's taken me so long to make this year's season. So understandably, many people are struggling with this season about what to do. But the response to the racial injustice in a humble way, because we are not experts in gospel, but we can bring in Black singers. And in fact, when we look, we have collaborated with Black singers, and we have this huge opportunity to give them more of a voice and more of a space.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they are giving so much back. Our friend and wonderfully talented young baritone soloist Jermaine Woodard Jr. He's so incredibly talented, and he's giving back thousandfold. Kevin Maynor and others who are going to join us. So while I'm no activist or socially incredibly engaged person, I felt like many organizations, we need our own unique response to this time, the pandemic, the social and racial challenges of this time and this year and right now, and we need to respond to it. And I know that Bach and his spirit, they will carry us somewhere. That much I know.
And then you're going to have what is the Spanish genre?
Oh, we have Villancico.
Villancico.
Sí. Yeah. And we have 20th century music from Argentina. And one of the almost first works of Crescendo was Misa Criolla by Ariel Ramírez, which I think you both sang, right?
Yeah.
And you remember there was the one moment that we had José Sassin, a wonderful baritone, who's going to do a voice coaching for you this year.
Oh, wonderful.
He sang the baritone solo in the Agnus Dei, and it was alternating soloists and choir. And there was this moment where he had a solo and finished a phrase, and it was my time to give the chorus the entrance. And I know I was in the concert so mesmerized by his phrase that I just stood there. And you might not remember that, but I've been teased to death by the ensemble, because they all noticed and they knew that I was just in the space with him, and I could not pull myself away from that and do what I had to do, which was giving you the next entrance. So So the connection between that and what we're doing this year, Navidad, Nuestra, by the same composer who passed away a few years ago only, Ariel Ramírez, and our same dear collaborators, Carlos Voltes on charango, and there's not many choruses that get to perform with charango. And they've brought to us, as they always do, a new musician. They always bring somebody along. And this time, much in keeping with Argentinian folk music, we're going to have an accordion bandoneon player.
Oh, wonderful.
Which very much belongs in this repertoire. And sometimes because of circumstances and finances, you can't hire one, but they've brought him. And so there's always an exciting little twist to the casting.
So I'm excited about our upcoming concert. Like every other program, just about every other program, it'll be brand new for me. I'm going to sing Bach's Christmas Oratorio for the first time, and I'll love discovering it and then making it my own. But also, I'm really excited to see how we blend with Bach the gospel music and also the Villancicos.
Villancicos.
And we're going to discover, all the different meanings that you're going to get by blending those. And I'm really looking forward to that too.
That's great, Tom. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Christmas Oratorio. I already have my old tattered copy here, and I've been practicing. So that, and I'm also. What?
Did you sing that in 415 or 440? It's easier because 415 is a half note lower. So
I don't think it's that. The other thing I'm really looking forward to, which is something that we just have never been able to do before, is have people from all over the world singing and performing and playing with us. I just think, from Germany to Chile to, it's wonderful. So that's fun.
You might know that my brother has been joining our vocal ensemble, Crescendo vocal ensemble, from his kitchen in Santiago de Chile during his 7 weeks of complete curfew and lockdown. He started joining us, and he will join our Crescendo programs too. So that's
great.
Personally, for me, that's wonderful. He's a fabulous singer. It's the silver lining, having my brother with me in rehearsal. And my mother has been visiting our rehearsals too, from her lockdown in Santiago de Chile. But so I wanted to also just end this and say, everybody, you have so much to look forward to. And we've been talking a lot these last days about the silver lining. And I find this silver lining and this opportunity to bringing to all of us and engaging you, Tom and Kathy and the others as singers in a great story. Really, again, it sounds like a cliche, but the Christmas story is really the story of hope, the story of light, the story of something that will take us beyond the suffering and beyond the limitation. It's also a story of searching for the leader, searching for the good. So I think doing Christmas music for a whole year, like we're hopefully going to be able to do with Crescendo, is almost a gift to me. And I think Christmas music for a good reason is so popular. So, and we will invite our audiences to join us in the chorales. So please look forward to our main event where all the music will be presented on December 19 at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Christmas in 3 cultures. And join us for that. And thank you for watching this video today. Oh.